righty. Hi, I'm Jennifer Lee Levitz, and this is Unleash the Power of Age, about the programs and activities at the Rose Baker Senior Center. I have count them, two policemen here today, and it's Detective Lieutenant Michael Gossam and Detective Thomas Quinn. They're going to tell us about scams, especially those that are perpetrated on the elderly, on us poor elderly. Anyway, there's a quick list I want to give you. A Social Security scam, the IRS scam, the grandparent scam, the National Grid scam, energy company scam, water department, chimney cleaning, paving crew, and jury duty. These are the top 10. We won't hear about all of them. We'll just sort of group them today. And gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. In the center, we have Detective Lieutenant Michael Gossam. I know I'd do that. Michael Gossam.
That's fine.
And Detective Thomas Quinn is sitting across from me. Quick, start talking before I babble anymore.
Okay. So you invited us here today to talk about some of the scams that are being perpetrated on citizens of Gloucester, especially the elderly.
Yes.
And we have found that a lot of them seem to be geared towards the elderly, and we'd like to give some information to them to maybe help protect themselves and not become victimized by these individuals that prey on them.
Okay. So rather than go through all the ones that you gave me and that I mentioned, why don't we start with one of the big ones that sort of covers a few bases? And
Okay.
will you be presenting? Who'll be
We'll switch
telling?
back and forth.
Oh, goody.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Go to it, please.
Tommy, you can go first.
Well, one of the biggest ones is the Social Security scams.
Okay.
Obviously, that is something that preys upon the elders that are getting Social Security benefits, either currently or about to get them. They're at that age. And that starts with a phone call from somebody who perpetrates that they are from Social Security. And it starts with the phone call, telling them in some situations that their benefits are being compromised, and that they're going to need to shut off their benefits, and they're going to have them set up a new account.
Oh, you know what? Why don't you pretend that you're doing it, and I'll take the call. Can we do that? Is that something you can do?
Well, I can, and so one of the ways that this works is they do what's called spoofing.
Oh, yes.
So when you get these phone calls and you look at your caller ID, you may think you're getting a call from, let's say, Washington, D.C.
Right.
Or it could be, from a local number from the police. But typically they're going to do some type of a number other than the number that they're calling
All right.
from.
So I won't worry about it, and I'll
So
just
you're not
pick
going
it
to be
up.
worried. There's nothing that's going to make you think that there's anything out of the ordinary. Could be a Washington, D.C. number, could be a Boston number, or it could be a local number.
Okay.
So, hi, this is Tom. I'm calling from the Social Security. There seems to be a problem with your account. Somebody has gotten in and gotten your identity, and they have opened up accounts using your information, and we are going to need to shut off your Social Security.
No,
Yes.
I need my Social Security.
We don't want you to worry about it because we are going to help you with this. We're going to set you up with a new account. But what we need you to do is to first, we need you to send us money that you have. And we're going to put it into the new account so that you'll be able to access this tomorrow. So one of the ways we want you to do this is we want you to get some gift cards, and we want you to buy these gift cards in the amount that we need you to do. And in this case, for our purposes, let's say it's $5,000.
$5,000.
But don't you worry about it, because you're going to get this money back. We're going to put it into an account, and you're going to be safe.
Oh my goodness.
Is this something you could do for me?
Where am I going to get $5,000?
Well, we don't want to see anything get shut off with your Social Security, so that's why we want to do this as soon as possible.
But
And something else they might say while they have you on the phone is try to build your confidence and say, like Tommy did, and say, we're going to take care of this for you. But what I'd like you to do is, can you just confirm your Social Security number with me, what I have here? Can you? I can't tell you it, but if you read it to me, I can just confirm with what's in front of me.
well, they told me not to give my Social Security over the phone.
Yeah, but we're Social Security, so that's fine. You
Right,
can
we
give
don't
it to
want
us.
you to
We
give it
already
out
have
to strangers. That's why it's important for us to confirm it.
You need to make sure it's me.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Especially when they build your trust
Because-
by calling you saying there's a problem, by telling you they have a way to fix it.
Right.
They're building that trust relationship, and then it's true. It's the psychological game, and then get you to and could you just confirm your birthday too, please?
Oh, I have to
You're
tell you.
still living at X address that they could easily find
no,
online.
that's not my address.
Or something
my
like
address
that.
is, yeah.
Oh
my God.
that
I have to tell
information's
you that I
available.
really find it upsetting.
Yes.
It's really.
Keep in mind, when they make these phone calls, they already know at least some information about you. So it's not like a blind where you and I are just doing this.
Right.
They know enough they probably already know where you live.
Right.
And this is information, it's easily obtainable on the internet.
They probably already
They know
have my last four.
your probably your date of birth, your age, and they could even know maybe even your last four numbers
Yeah.
of your social. So they know enough, as the lieutenant was saying, to gain that confidence in you. And there's no reason, for you to disbelieve them, because they're very good at it. And it's a script that they read, and they do this phone call after phone call after phone call. And, you and I are doing this, and, we're not real good with this, but when they do this, they're very believable.
I'm sorry, you got me going. Because I know what I'm supposed to say, and still, when you said those things to me, I wanted to say something. What I wanted to say is, I don't have $5,000. I can't give you $5,000 in any form.
Exactly.
But you know what they do?
What do
Part
they
of
do
the
if you say
confidence,
that?
Part of the confidence is they say, well, what can you give? What can you give so we can set this account up for you and take care of it so you can get
Okay.
your monthly money?
See, that's it was like, but I don't have that much. But what's going to happen?
And I'm sure that plenty of your viewers have gotten these phone calls, whether they actually spoke to them or they've gotten the recorded messages on their answer machines. Because I know I've got them in my own home.
Sure.
You come home and you play the answer machine, and there's this recorded thing saying that they are from Social Security, and I at least know enough to know that the minute I hear it, it's a scam. And that's what we want to do is to teach folks out there. But I'm sure plenty of your viewers have gotten these phone calls.
Absolutely.
And
We know
and
that.
have heard them.
We know that. All right. So that's the basic. I still want to address. We need to address this gift card thing, but let's keep going because it comes into more than one.
Sure.
So what would be the next? How about the grandparents?
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
So
let's
another
start with
common
that.
one is, again, through very limited investigative work on social media, Facebook or whatever, they can find out, your name and who you're friends with, and maybe you posted something with a picture with your grandson or a nephew or anybody like that, and you know what, having a great time at the party with my grandson Michael. So there it is, right off the bat, they know that grandson Michael, that's the name of the grandson, Michael.
Really?
So they just call you up and say, they can either call or what's more common is the email, right?
Yeah.
The email.
Email.
This is Michael. I'm in jail. I'm arrested. I need money to get out of jail. send it to me. Now they can send gift cards, which is the most common way, because that's like as soon as those numbers are utilized and processed, the card's no good and there's no way to get the money
They can
back.
do that on email?
Yes, or they can have they could send an email with that information saying call this number, or they can access you through phone and email and present this thing to you that definitely preys on the elderly to get your attention and wanna help them.
Let me ask, I know this isn't how we said we were going to do it, but
Right, right.
what
Sorry.
occurs to me right this second is, so what if my grandson Michael is sitting next to me?
Yeah.
And I know it absolutely is not my grandson Michael.
So that has happened, and people realize they're getting scammed, and that's the end of it. But the chances are that your grandson is not going to be sitting with you.
Right.
And so we did talk about the emails, but there are also the phone calls. And somebody is going to call you and say, hey, Grandma, you know, this is Michael. I got arrested. I need some money, whatever. And they say it very quickly. And you're like, Michael, hello? And then another person will get on the phone. And so that's where it changes the attention from Michael, who you thought you were talking to another person who's identifying themselves as a law enforcement officer somewhere. Could be Mexico, you know, saying your grandson's on vacation. You didn't know he went on vacation, but he got into trouble, and this is what we need in order for him to get out. And so now you start talking to this person who tells you what you need to do to get Michael out and to get him released.
You know, I keep refusing to believe that people fall for this, but it has occurred to me that one of the things about using a gift card is that it's fast. And if they tell you the fastest way you can do it, if you do it through the bank, it'll take longer. If you do it Western Union, it'll take
Exactly.
longer. If you want this done right away,
Right.
here's the fastest way.
And if it really were your grandson and he really was in custody in some foreign country in a prison, which is not like American prisons,
Right.
you're going to want him out. You want him out as fast as possible and to get home and be safe. So that's what happens is that people just fall for that. I mean, they...
Well, I'm beginning to, it's interesting how I'm actually beginning to understand how this can happen to anybody.
Absolutely. And
It's almost a like psychological game that they're playing where they, you know, try to catch you off guard,
Right.
throw a bunch of stuff at you that is going to take a minute to process, but then don't give you the time to process that and prey on your, you know, worst case scenario that your grandson is in jail somewhere, and they'll lock you into it. It has to be done right now because he doesn't get another phone call, or you know, you can't call a relative to see where he is. This is his only shot to get out.
Right.
You know, so they prey on that.
So I want to know what I can do if this happens to me. What should I do?
Well, the first thing is that it's highly unlikely that your grandson would be either in a foreign country or away, and you would have no knowledge of this.
Right.
There's never going to be a one-shot chance of getting out of jail. So you certainly could call and check with your son or daughter or whoever, somebody else in the family, as to the status of your grandson or grandchild
All
or
right.
whatever.
So you could call and
you
see if
know?
it's even possible for it to
Right.
happen.
Or you could verify. You could say, what is the location? What is this agency that's holding him? You know, what's your number? Then you could hang up. You could try either a Google search or something like that to try to find the real number. Does it match up? Call that place back.
Or they
Speak
could
to
just
somebody
call
in
you
charge.
guys.
Or they could just call the police. And we could do some of that for them.
What's that phone number?
That phone number is 978
Yeah.
283
283
1212.
1212.
very easy number.
Very easy number. And okay. So we have those two kinds of scams. Now there's some in-person scams
Yes.
that you could give us an example of. So
Sure.
it's knock, 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 and I go to my door and I say, I look out and I see someone standing there and they say,
There's a variety of things they could say.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. They could say, it could be a commercial paving truck out front, because that's kind of a common one.
Okay.
And they say, hi, I'm John Smith with Smith Paving. We did a job down the street. I have some extra hot top left over, and I noticed you have, some damage to your driveway. I can't bring this hot top back. I can give you a really good deal if you're interested.
Wow. I could say almost anything to that. Gee, that would be terrific. Or, gee, my husband isn't home. I can't do it without talking to him. Well,
Yeah, well, you know what? If you don't take advantage of this, I'm just going to go next door to the people over there, because I'm just looking for a couple bucks to get rid of this hot top that I have here.
okay.
How about $100? I'll do it for $100.
$100 for
Sure.
the whole thing?
Whatever I have left, I'll put and I'll grade it. I'll make it look beautiful, nice and smooth.
Wow, $100. Well, I would say okay. I actually would.
Your husband will be happy. It'll look great. It'll be the best $100 you ever spent.
I actually would say okay. I wouldn't even think to check down the street. I wouldn't think about anything. I would just say
Of course,
okay.
yeah.
The truck is there. There is actual
Right.
hot top.
And now, Tommy, hit him with the scam.
So this is what's going to happen: is they are going to go out there and they are going to spread some hot top,
Yeah.
and they're going to do a very, very shoddy paving work on your driveway.
On purpose or
On purpose. I mean, they really don't care too much about it. But the biggest thing is that when they're done, they're going to come back and knock at your door, and instead of $100, they're going to give you a bill for $3,000.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. And this has happened multiple times. So the elderly person is going to respond like, this is ridiculous. We agreed on $100. Well, it took us a little bit longer, and we ended up having to use a little bit more material, and unfortunately, this is what we're going to have to charge you. And of course, you're going to be upset, and they can be a little intimidating. And now, whereas it was maybe one guy at the door, there's two guys at the door. And, you're home, you're alone, you're a little intimidated by what's going on, and you just want it to be gone. So one of the things they'll say is, then tell you what, just give us $1,000 and we'll go. So we've gone from 100 to 2,000, now back down to 1,000. So there's no way you're going to pay them $2,000, and you just want them to be gone. So you'll write them a check for $1,000, and they will take that check and they will drive immediately to the bank and cash that check so that they have the money. There's been some times where the person says, well, I need to go to the bank. Then they'll drive the person to the bank or follow them. So you take your car, we'll follow you in our truck to the bank and go in, and you withdraw the cash, you give them the $1,000, and then they're gone.
I'm having a little more trouble with this one. However, I'm picturing that these could be two big guys.
Well, see, I think if you take into consideration, we've gone over 3 different types of scams, right? And they really prey on 3 different things. The first one is a confidence scam, right? They trick you by building confidence, telling you something bad, and then conning the information out of you.
That's why they call it confidence?
Right. The second one preys on the family love or your instincts to protect your loved ones.
Okay.
Okay, and they try to confuse you and throw a bunch of things at you.
Okay.
And disrupt your thought process. The last one is an intimidation thing.
Correct.
Yes.
Right? They try to do a job real quick, whether it's paving or landscaping or chimney sweeping, something that you didn't go out and look for, they came to you.
Yeah.
And then it's an intimidation to get their money.
Right. Wow. We could talk about this for an hour, but we don't have an hour, so I'm gonna skip to. So you just said we did do 3 types, and we talked about some of the reasons why the elderly are vulnerable and fall for it. I would like to bring up the point that a lot of elderly are isolated, and
And that's a good point, because they are.
Really, it's here's my commercial. I always have to do a Rose Baker commercial. It's important for people to be social, to socialize, to have people that you can talk to, that you trust, that you spend time with. Being shut in the house all the time is not, it's first of all, it's not healthy. And I don't want to say it's not safe because I don't want to scare anybody or make them think they're not safe in their own
Right.
home. However, if you're not used to being out, being with people, talking, it's just not a healthy way to live. And
Yeah.
that's why we have all the programs at Rose Baker. That's why we bring the information into Rose Baker. That's why we have the show, so that people get informed and can get an idea of what it's like to come on down and be with people. So one of the reasons this happens is because people are isolated.
Right. Yes.
But
And-
another reason
Sure.
is that the elderly come from a generation of trust.
Okay.
So they come from a generation when they answer the phone, the person on the other line is the person who says that
That's right.
they are.
That's right.
So if somebody were to contact them and say they were from the IRS or from Social Security, you know, they come from a generation where there would be no reason to disbelieve.
That's-
And, you know, they use that fear of you'll be arrested in some situations, you know, for example, the IRS, the back taxes, you know, will send a police officer over there to arrest you. And of course, that's never going to happen. But they do come from that generation of just being
Right.
trusting of people. And unfortunately, we now live in a society that that's no longer the case.
No.
Whether it's the person on the phone call, whether it's an email, or the person knocking at your door.
Right.
Unless, you know, it's something that, you know, you reached out to them and asked somebody for a paving, don't be dealing with them at the door.
No. Don't let people, oh, here are the rules. We're going to do some do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
So don't let anybody who comes to your door in your house, first of all. But if you didn't ask for them, tell them, don't even answer your door if you don't know who it is.
Right. Right. You should be very careful when it comes to that. Strangers coming to your door.
There's another big don't, and I brushed over it because I just can't believe that it happens. This gift card thing.
Right. No reputable organization is going to ask you to pay with a gift card.
Ever.
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 No. The
Nope.
IRS will not take gift card for payment. Social Security will not take gift card numbers for payment. National Grid does not take Google cards for payment. You know, anybody that asks you to pay with a gift card is not legitimate.
Okay. So that's those are a couple of the big don'ts.
Right.
Right. And not even a don't, that should be like the red flag.
Okay.
If you at any point are like going along with it and you think it might be legitimate, as soon as you hear them say, okay, so go down to Walgreens and buy 10 Google cards and scratch the numbers off and read them to me, that's, boom, not legitimate.
Okay.
That's the red flag.
Okay. So those are some don'ts. How about a couple of do's? Do call the police if you have any questions.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. And you know what? Yes, rule number one, call the police if you have any questions. And if you're apprehensible about calling the police, if you think it's something you don't want to bother us with, which you're not a bother and you're more than welcome to call us, reach out to a friend, reach out to a neighbor, reach out to a family member, let them know you got this call, ask questions. Does this sound legitimate? Does this sound right? Can we look into this? Did I not pay my electric bill last month? Is there an issue with my Social Security? Can you sit with me while we call Social Security office and just make sure? You know, nothing has to be done right then and there.
Right.
There's always time to evaluate and process what happened and then react and do your action.
Okay.
And don't call back the numbers that they leave,
Oh.
because the number they leave is obviously them.
Right. Goes
So
right
if you
to
get
them.
a call and it says they're from the IRS and we need you to call us back at this number, don't call that number. call the IRS. And of course, the first thing they're going to tell you is, no, we didn't contact you. We don't call. You know, we would send you a letter. And most people know whether they owe back taxes or not.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Yes,
it
yes,
shouldn't be
they
a
do.
surprise. You know, well,
You might know if you didn't
you
pay
have
your
an
electric
idea.
bill last month.
Yes,
But-
we do.
But and the biggest thing is, especially like the IRS, it's always going to start with a letter that you're being audited.
Right.
Okay, so they first have to do an audit to determine whether you owe back taxes and whether you have documentation to support some of the things you're claiming. But it's always going to start with an audit. It's not going to be a
phone call.
A phone call with a demand for money.
Okay.
So that should be a little bit of a red flag as
Okay.
well.
If someone does want to call the police station, should they ask for somebody?
No. Anybody that answers the phone, they are all police officers, and they're all aware of the scams. And if you talk to any one of the officers that answers the phone, they should be able to help them and tell them that they're most likely being scammed. But you're also welcome to call our office, which
Yes.
is the detective's office.
Okay.
That's 978
978
281
281
9753.
9753. That's the detectives. Okay.
Or you could call the main number, which we said is 978 283 1212.
And which is a 24-hour number.
It is.
So that's why we encourage to call that number,
I was
because
just gonna say,
if you're getting them in the
24
evenings,
hours.
whatever, and we want you to call the police so that you're not making the wrong decisions.
Okay. We're just about done. Is there any last word? Anything else you want to say?
The biggest
No,
thing
I
is ask before you do it. That's
Okay.
it.
Talk
Ask
to
somebody.
somebody.
Talk
And if
to
it's not
somebody,
us, ask a neighbor, a friend, a relative, somebody.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank
both
you
of
for having us.
It's a
We
pleasure.
appreciate this. So we try to get the word out as much as possible. So by you inviting us, this is great. We get it out to the viewers. In the fall, we have at each one of the elderly housings, we will be doing a little presentation and a talk
Okay.
with the elderly there as well.
Okay.
And thanks again for having us.
You're welcome. Don't get scammed. Okay.
All right.